So, y'all, I'm on my way to South Carolina. I forget the name of the actual city. Let me see. Let y'all know exactly. Darlington. I never heard of Darlington. Going to Darlington, South Carolina. On the road. It's been raining all damn day. But luckily I ain't run into no accidents. Ain't nobody decided the goddamn hydroplane and kill nobody thus far. But it's been raining like hell all day. And I've been up since about 4 driving. I had to drop off in Raleigh. Then I'm going my way to South Carolina. I gotta go back up to Henderson. So, you know, I'm gonna be in these streets for pretty much most of the fucking day, for real. Moving. Some of y'all know that I told y'all I went to go see my mom yesterday. I told y'all I made a couple vids, and I told y'all I was going to see my mom. I had people leaving in the comments saying that they hope she's doing okay. I really appreciate the people who took any type of concern. But she's doing fine, chilling, resting up. Got my grandmother there with her. She's there helping her out. You know, she can't really move a whole lot right now. My grandma's there being her mom, and it's getting on my mom's nerves a little bit. You know how moms are. It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, your grandma's somebody's mama. And, you know, mom's going to be extra. Like, don't do anything. The motherfucking doctor tell you don't lift nothing heavy. Mama don't want you to lift a pillow. Like, that pillow too heavy, baby. Let me get it. But then with my grandmother being older, my mom don't want her doing a lot of shit. So, like, both of them in there. Like, y'all, Lord have mercy, y'all. But they was you know, they was really happy to see me. I went down there, checked them out, and sit and had some interesting conversations with my mom. And that's what I wanted to talk about. You know, because with my family, you know, a lot of the conversations I'm going to have, and it doesn't matter what's going on, they're going to steer back into dealing with what's going on with black people out here, how these white folk out here acting. This is how the type of conversations I have, and it just doesn't really matter what situation I'm in. So my mom shares with me 2 stories. And she was talking to me about gentrification. We got into the conversation about gentrification, and my mom, she does hair, and she's in school, and sometimes she'll drive for Lyft. And she was talking about some people she picked up, 2 attorneys. One white woman. She picked them up from an affluent neighborhood, and there was a non-black, well, she wouldn't consider black, but non-white man that this woman was with. And apparently they were engaged to be married. And she picked them up from these big houses, and they were talking about how or where they wanted to live once they, you know, got married and moved in together. They were talking about where they wanted to live. And they are actively gentrifying several areas in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you are familiar with this area, if you're from here, you know more about it than me, because I've only been here now maybe 7-8 years now. If you're from Charlotte, then you've seen even more than I've seen. I've seen a lot in just 8 years. I've seen a lot of gentrification going on here in Charlotte. But this couple was talking about where they wanted to live once they got married. And it created an argument because the white woman was back there being white. She was back there being white as hell. And she was talking about the areas that she wanted to live in as to them not having high crime. And, you know, she kind of starts sliding, basically saying, well, ain't no black folk around there now, so everything's going to be fine. Now, my mom, she's sitting there listening to it. She said she doesn't really say anything. But the husband, he got upset. The non-white husband got upset. And he started blanking in on his wife. It's like, I done told you to quit talking about that. You know, I don't want to live in no blood houses, is what he called them. He called them blood houses. Because he said, you know, there are people being kicked out of these areas, forced out of these areas. Poor black people that are being forced out of these areas. Now, my mom said she think that he was just putting on airs for her. These are 2 affluent, you know, attorneys. But they get into this big argument about that shit. And the white woman, of course, is acting oblivious to this. And this is, and when my mom's telling me this thing, I asked my mom, like, this is why I don't understand how black people marry white folk. Like, how do you marry people who don't understand? Like, she didn't even know that she was being offensive. She didn't even know that she was celebrating gentrification of black areas, making black people homeless, so her people would have an area that they can live in together, was something that she was bragging about. How I don't know how they do it. And I asked this to my mom. Like, this goes into the psychology of these people who decide, and this man is looking to marry her. I'm like, I don't even see how he would do it. That's why I don't know how y'all do this. How can you marry somebody who's not feeling you, who don't understand your struggle? And I guess I mean, it's really blatant with white folk, but there's a whole lot of self-hating ass coons out here that I don't see how y'all marrying either, that don't understand, who don't have any real compassion for the condition in which black people are living in this country. You redline black people off to a certain area, and then you come in and you gentrify the area to leave black people homeless, or you lock up all the men, you lock up the entire community, and that leaves these areas vacant so you can come in and buy them up and gentrify. Raise the prices up on the facilities, the apartments, condos, houses, whatever you put there. You raise the prices up in which, you know, black folk are not going to be able to afford that. And then my grandma comes in. And my grandma, I don't sit and have conversations about racism with my grandma. That's not a typical thing. Even though grandma got a lot of knowledge because she was there, she's been there, you know, early on when racism, not when it was, I ain't gonna say when it was blatant, because it's still blatant to me personally, but when it was more in your face. Which is more in your face with it, right? And she said she was watching a show where an area was getting gentrified, and she thought that because it was a historical, it was a black historical grounds, that white folk wouldn't be able to do that. And what I told my grandma is, I said, you know, with white people, if you look at who they are, first of all, they want to make it seem like black people are the face of all crime. And if you look at historically, you look at white people and the crimes that they commit against humanity, they are far more violent than we are. If we were as violent as they say we are, them motherfuckers will be wiped out. We'd be out here purging them bitches. If we were really like they like to say we are, we'd be purging them. And whenever I start talking, my grandma, she start acting like she at church. Yes, she be saying yes like a pastor is preaching or something. You know, I think it's so funny. But I'm sitting here telling my grandma, like, it doesn't matter if there's a historical. White folk will find a way to get around any rules because the rules are made by them. And this is what a lot of black people got to understand about these laws that we feel like we're supposed to have and rights and things like that. White people will bend them when it comes to victimizing you. That's what they do. That's what they've done historically. They wouldn't give a damn. Because she said a lot of the black people in the area was like, you know, they have funeral homes and things like that, grave sites where their loved ones were buried. And these white folk don't give a fuck about all that. They come in to buy it up and build condos on top of that graveyard. They don't care. Raise them prices to get you out. And my grandma said she was crying when she was watching. She was crying. And I told her that's what the white man do. He don't care nothing about your tears. This is why I always tell black people, do not be sitting around crying amongst these white folk. Don't let them see you crying. You ain't got time to be crying. They don't give a fuck about all of that. It's not garnering any sympathy to come from them. They don't care. They don't have the type of compassion that we have as black people in our hearts. They just don't have it. But I'm talking to my mom about this, and like I said, I told her I don't see how black people sit around marrying white folk. I don't see how these two people that was riding are engaged to be married. They're arguing because this white bitch don't understand gentrification, nor does she even have the empathy to not brag about it right in front of another black person. She ain't even got the empathy or decency not to even do that. And she said they got into a full-blown argument, and when she dropped them off, the man apologized to her and gave her a tip and all this stuff. But she said she didn't even, she wasn't going to react or anything like that because he was in there banging. He went in on his little white wife. And then my mom, when she's doing this counseling thing right now, and there is, she said she had a black male client. And if you listen to this story, this is going to be a story that a lot of black people think this is some type of sanctuary, safety. Say the young boy has a mixed father. And the mixed father took it, in his mind, he white. The mixed father is white. In his mind. Again, this is based on ideology. He teaches and reinforces the stereotypes about black people to his son. Now the son, being black, son is black. It's a mixed man with a black woman. The son is black. But they taught him to be white in his mind. He has no respect for black people. He thinks the same stereotypes that white folk think about you. That's what he thinks. That's what his dad thinks. Because his dad leaned to the white. Not to the right, to the white. That's the choice that this mulatto made. Now, mulattoes, mixed peoples, they make different decisions. And a lot of them, they switch in and out whenever it's convenient for them. Now, regardless of the fact, they still going to be treated like niggas, and I'll show you that in this story. Now, they done raised this boy to believe and have a white ideology. It's in the white private schools. But he goes to these private schools surrounded by white folk, and then white folk treating him like a motherfucking nigga. Treating him like a nigga. And now it's caused him so much depression that he done try to commit suicide. That's what made his mom seek out psychological therapy for him. That's what made her seek him out. Because the mom gonna do whatever she can to, get her son right. For their kids, they gonna do whatever. So he going through depression up around these white folk. They treat him like a nigga, and it's causing him to be isolated, surrounded by these white folk, and having these negative ideas about black people. Black people ain't nothing but gangbangers to him. They ain't shit but criminals. That's it. And my mom said she had to break down the psychology of being black and what it is to be black, and propaganda to this black child, because his father and mother failed him. Now the mom is getting on board. Now my mom told me the dad still, he ain't fucking with it. He don't care. He's still holding on to them same values, those same negative stereotypes about black people. Now a lot of black people do this where we'll feel like it's safe to send our kids to be around a bunch of white folk. They're still going to ostracize your child. Now, I'm not saying they will be severely depressed like this child was, or try to commit suicide or anything like that. But that's what this child was. And my mom is having to educate him on his blackness and where he is. And my mom is not the most militant. But she called the dad house nigga. I said, damn. My mama don't talk like this. I told my mama, I say, Mama, I think I'm starting to rub off on you a little bit. Now my mama treats me like I'm crazy. She done called me racist. My mama gives me a hard time about my views. But the last couple conversations that I had with my mom, I'm like, Ma, am I rubbing off on you? Because I be speaking nothing but facts. Now, she can call me whatever she want, but I be dropping straight facts. And she said, oh yeah, he one of them house niggas who think that the white man gonna treat him the same, but he never will. Mixed people be thinking that sometimes, but they are shown that they treat it like niggas. And then we got into conversations about these children being made on plantations. And I talked to my mom and my grandma about the Casual Killing Act. Neither one of them had known anything about the Casual Killing Act, where white women were sitting around beating black children to death. They came out with a law to make it almost justifiable that they were beating black children to death, because they said as long as you're correcting a slave, it's not considered murder. This is the Casual Killing Act. My grandma didn't know what it was. My mama didn't know what it was. And I explained to them, at this time, I explained to them why I don't just say the white man. And I'm sitting talking to my grandma, and I told her, this is why I say the white man and his mama. Because these white women have been complacent in this. And I tied this back into this lawyer, the prior story, when my mom was telling me about the lawyer and this white woman not understanding racism. They compliant, but they don't care how black folk being treated, as long as they ain't being treated no type of way. They don't care. They just as racist. I mean, if you look at some of the images from the civil rights era, some of the lynchings that have occurred, you look at the crowd, it's white women in that crowd. So it's just ingenuous for us to just say the white man, because then we lose sight of his mama. We lose sight of his sister, his grandma, his auntie, his wife. We lose sight of these bitches. And I think because we have lost sight of these bitches, that's what caused a lot of the, you know, the psychological issues, that we feel like the white women are innocent and it's just the white man out here. Like, no. But I talk about this shit. My mom and grandma didn't know anything about the Casual Killing Act and the reason for it. Now, my mom told me that the mom, she's trying to get the history so she can pass it down to her son. The dad still don't give a fuck. This mixed dad still don't give a fuck. He don't even give a fuck about the trauma that his black child is going through. He don't give a fuck about none of that shit. And we talk about this plantation. My mom talked to me about the white man raping the slaves, male and female, and the white woman also having sex with slaves as well. And she didn't know the name of the one that they would keep well-to-do. The ones that they would be sitting around, and they wouldn't call it rape. They would act like they was having sexual relationships with these slaves. But I told her those were bed bucks and bed wenches. She never even heard of that. And this is why she recovered, you know. She recovered from surgery. So I'm happy that we was even able to have these conversations, because, you know, I'm able to put a little knowledge out there, put a little militance into the atmosphere. And I feel like I told my mama, like, I'm rubbing off on your ass. I ain't say ass. I don't cuss around my mama. I don't cuss around my mama. But I told her I'm rubbing off. I'm rubbing off on you. I can tell. Because it's been the last 2 conversations that we done had that she done called somebody a damn house nigga. I ain't never, in my over 30, I'm damn near 37, I never heard my mama talk like that in my life. And the shit get me a little bit hype. I'm like, where was this talk when I was 5, 6? You know, that's what I want to know. Like, what? I am a grown man now. And you talk about some of these motherfuckers is house niggas. Like, I needed all of this. My whole life I needed this. To understand, to get some form of identity from my parents, you know. But I'm happy she's comfortable talking to me about this. But we really got to look at the psychology of black folk. One, y'all that's laying up with these white folk, how do y'all do it when they cannot feel your struggle, they cannot feel your pain? And 2, y'all black folk, stop. If you're going to be, let's say, in this situation, this is a mixed man with a black woman and that black child, you're not going to be able to run from blackness, y'all. I don't give a damn how much you hate it. I know y'all think y'all can move out of the hood and lay up around. I'm not lay up around, but move in around areas with these white folk and really go ahead and lay up with them too. And y'all think that just going to exonerate y'all from being black. It don't work like that. And what you're doing is you're causing your child to have an inferiority complex. Because his father is pushing the ideas that black people ain't shit. We're degenerates. How you teach that to your black child? And then send him to a white school and these white folk go treat him like a fucking nigger. That's how they go treat your child. We're making that mistake in raising our children in this society that's not built the way y'all want it to be. You have to prepare your kids for this shit. You don't just wake them up and send them out and then think you're going to get somewhere safe around some white folk and everything going to be all right. It don't work like that. It's been proven that it don't work like that. Because even if, and I told my mom, and she was, you know, his issue was being ostracized and treated like a nigga. But I say, this child probably done dealt with all types of forms of different racism that he didn't even pick up on. Because I've even known black kids that grow up around white folk that will allow all different types of racism and still call them white folk their friends. Still. They'll still call them their friends. And when they start telling me stories about their friends, I'm like, that's racism. Why, you didn't notice that, recognize that? No, it's this. That's just how they are. They're just joking. They're not just joking with y'all. They're serious. It's not a joke to them. We the only ones out here playing. Black folk. We the ones out here playing. White folk ain't playing. Them motherfuckers ain't playing about white supremacy and making you feel inferior to them. They're not playing with you. Prepare your children. If you go sit them up, be around white folk, you need to be preparing them to stand up for themselves against that subtle racism and that very covert and overt racism. You need to be ready for both. This child don't try to commit suicide from hating himself and being ostracized by the people he was taught to love. You'll see what y'all doing to y'all kids. Now most black folk gonna stay around black folk, so this don't apply to most black people. But do y'all ones that be trying to run off to the hills somewhere with the white folk, do y'all see what y'all doing to y'all kids? Because you turn your nose up at your own people. So that's going to make them hate their blackness and run to get love from the white folk. But when white folk don't give them that love, and they not going to give them that love, then you're creating a goddamn psychological issue for your child. That's what y'all doing. And I explained all of this to my mom. Now, of course, my mama, and she keep trying to get me to go into be in her practice with her. She want me to come in and try to give counseling and therapy to black folk. I tell her I do mine my way. I'll let you do it by the book. I'll let you do all by the book stuff. Because I don't know if I can hold my tongue or get as good as she do. You know, she keeps a lot of stuff. She's able to play the part better than I can. I can't do it. But she always talk about she want me to come up in there and be with her and her, you know, in her practice when she get it started. She want me to be a part of it. I'm like, Ma, I don't talk right. I don't talk soft enough. My conversation ain't soft. And I would have been there going in on them parents as to what they did to their child. And I'd have made them feel like shit for it. I know I would have. Because I'm hoping anybody that's doing it to their child right now feels like shit. Because that's what you are, because you're not protecting the psyche of your child. You're raising them to believe in something false. But that's how the fuck I wanted to say. If some of you who are with colonizers want to speak up, you swirling motherfuckers, don't come in here doing too much. I just want to know how you do it. How do you lay up with somebody who cannot feel your pain? How do you relate to somebody like that? How you fall in love with somebody like that? How y'all doing it? And you black parents who may think it's safer for you to have your kid up around these white folk, how are you thinking that? What part of history has shown you that this is a truth? Why are you still conducting yourself like that? I want to know. I want to know. But that's all the fuck I want to say. Y'all, like, share, subscribe, comment if you need to comment. Links to follow me on social media in the description box. Order a t-shirt from my brother. I got 2 t-shirt links. Check them out. I added a couple new designs. Yesterday, day before yesterday, 1 of the 2. Added a couple new designs on my t-shirt sites. So y'all check out those sites. Order a t-shirt from my brother. And shout out to Team Rob. Y'all already know what the fuck it is. I'm out.